I'm going to give everybody a few seconds to join in before we start. Actually, let's see what Robin Sharma has to say about today. Okay, what has he got to say today? When you devote yourself to excellence in everything you do, you begin to feel a greater sense of positive pride about the way you are conducting your days. This in turn increases self-respect and confidence, which in turn release greater energy and passion. You begin to feel good about yourself. People who feel good about themselves do great work and create remarkable things. And this in turn just makes them raise their standards of excellence even higher. It's an upward spiral that takes people to ever increasing places of joy, meaning, and internal peace. So that's our big saying for the day. Now today, I'm going to share with you some information around, or I'm going to share, some wisdom and experience around your story. So whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this recorded, I want to just give you a little warning that it's possible that this will trigger you. And if it does, just know that the trigger means there is a deep-seated truth to whatever it is that you're hearing. So don't shoot the messenger. I'm just sharing the information. So if you could just maybe listen with your heart open and your ears wide open and without judgment of self, you're gonna walk away from this with a holy shit to stick in your back pocket and decide what it is you want to do with it. So I've got two things going on at the same time here. So if I seem distracted, it's just that I'm trying to speak to both locations at the same time. So we're going to talk about letting go or breaking up with your BS story. And that story that's holding you in place, unable to move forward. Or you're finding that your forward movement, your expansion or your growth is just like so slow and so sluggish. So just consider that as we move through this little share, that it could be the story that is real, that actually isn't real, that's got you stuck. And I'm going to start with some of the most common stories, and you can fill in the blank. I'm just going to give you the start of the story, and then you can fill in how it goes. So I'm not good enough, blank. I can't do blank. I don't have the blank. There's never enough. When I have, when there is, now isn't the time, but that's a real common one. I have a physical disability, so I have a learning disability, and therefore I have emotional trauma from my past. I don't know how to. It's not possible to. There's no way You don't understand. But, and fill in the blank. So those are just some real common ones. And I'm sure that if you're, as you're watching this, you're going, oh no, that's me. It's okay, because we all have a story. The key is to understand that we have a story and to be able to identify the pieces of the story that are actually true. And I'll explain that in a second. So the thing I wanted to share is I just picked some really well-known people to just throw out really, really quickly who all experienced some or one of the things that I just previously explained. So it might be like a physical disability or a learning disability or severe trauma in their childhood or their youth. It may have been a childhood with absolute poverty or drugs or whatever it happens to be. It's just nice when you can put a face to a situation. So I just picked Tom Cruise and Keira Knightley, like severe dyslexia. Rick Hansen, Terry Fox, I mean, they had disabilities that didn't stop them. Stephen Hawking, of course, phenomenal physical disabilities, and he went on to change the world in many ways. You look at Nick Vujicic, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, and Kyle Menard, who are both quadruple amputees, or not necessarily amputees, they were born with no limbs. And they are incredible men, motivational speakers, authors, mixed martial artist, CrossFit artist. Kyle Menard was the first quadruple amputee to scale Kilimanjaro. So, you know, physical disabilities. Andrea Bocelli, of course, he's blind. Howie Mandel, severe OCD. Ty Pennington, severe ADHD. Amanda Lindhout, if you ever read A House in, House in the Sky, where she was kidnapped and held in Afghanistan as a journalist and raped daily for 2.5 years as she was trying so desperately to escape. Tara Westover, if you haven't read the book Educated, you want to read a crazy story about someone who had every single thing thrown against them as a child and went on to become a phenomenal author. You got Maya Angelou, who had a really tough childhood. Tony Robbins had a tough childhood. Charlize Theron's mom shot her dad. Curtis Jackson, Dylan McDermott. I mean, you could go on. Jim Carrey. They all had some of the experiences of the story from above that I was just sharing. I'm not good enough. I can't. I've got a learning disability. I've got a physical disability. It didn't stop them from accessing their gifts, their mission, and their power, and to use it to create a vehicle of transformation to take out into the world. And that's what I'm challenging you with today, is to look at the story and the beliefs that you have, and how is it limiting you from accessing your gifts, your mission, your power, and therefore the vehicle of transformation that you're meant to take out into the world. So we kind of want to break apart the facts versus the assumptions in that story that you've got going on, because your thinking actually creates your reality. Whatever your thoughts are, that is the reality of your world, that the life that you're living, the story that you're in. And the reality might be that you have a learning disability. And that might be the end of the story. You can write the story any way you want after that. You get to write it any way you want. I'm just going to identify some facts from some of those stories above. I have a learning disability. That might be a fact. I have a physical disability. That might be a fact. I experienced trauma in my childhood. I don't have any parents left. My parents left me as a child. I've experienced bankruptcy. My husband cheated on me. I was severely bullied as a child. I was in a horrific accident. Go on and on and on. Those might be facts. The chapter that comes after the fact is totally up to us. We get to choose what we're going to do with the fact we have a physical disability. We get to choose what we're going to do with the fact that we have a learning disability, or that we were in a terrible accident. We get to choose. There's a great saying, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And a lot of the stories that we create for ourselves produce a lot of suffering that may or may not be necessary. So I'm really inviting you to look at the story that you're creating for yourself that's really holding you in place, and it's keeping you from accessing the amazingness that lives within you, regardless of the facts, regardless of the injury or the trauma or the alcoholism or the past addictions or family trauma. You still have qualities that are so unique to you, that are so amazing, that are being suppressed and hidden because that story is actually pretty comfortable, even in its discomfort. So I want to share with you a couple of archetypes that really show up to empower our fears and ensure that we absolutely stay stuck. So the first archetype I want to share with you is the prostitute archetype. She's scared, she's scattered, she's elusive, and she generally hides behind an image, whatever that image might be. She sells herself short in any or all areas of life. So for those of you who are entrepreneurs that are, or self-employed that are hearing this, and I really would invite you to look at how you sell yourself short or you devalue your services. She has no standards, or she sets the bar very, very low. She doesn't take any risks. No. She gives away her power in many different ways. The power that lives right here, she gives that away. She sells out for safety because it's comfortable. She's desperate, and she's learned to play small, and that's where she's comfortable. She gives way too much away for free, and that could be time, that could be money, it could be knowledge, it could be wisdom, it could be energy. Energy being a really big one for a lot of women, especially if they're healers or caregivers. She's very good at saying no to herself, but doesn't know how to say no to others. And she lacks a fearless commitment to herself. Those are just some of the qualities of the prostitute archetype. And her alter ego is the lover. So by hiding and allowing that archetype to really manifest in that story that you've created for yourself, the powerful piece, the lover, the alter ego, is not able to shine. She's not able to access her gifts. She's not able to access her power. She's not able to access her mission. And therefore, her vehicle of transformation stays in the closet for life, forever. The other archetype I just want to share with you is the victim archetype, which is actually probably one of the most common ones. And she is aggressive, rigid, defensive, and guarded. And interestingly, her alter ego is the warrior, the one that is just like so fearless, unapologetic, bold, and stands in her power, uses her voice regardless, uses her truths, takes responsibility for herself. She is the CEO of her life. So the victim archetype, everything controls her. Time controls her, money controls her body controls her, people control her, the world controls her. Everything happens to me. If only it didn't happen to me. She expects or seeks out the worst case scenario. Know anyone like that? She is an energy vampire. She's a chronic complainer. She doesn't have control over anything in her life except the way she thinks or the belief in her story. She bullies herself. She lacks personal responsibility. She's constantly blaming others or the world around her for the way things are. There's always an excuse for why. And she feels trapped and totally unfulfilled. So this is a really powerful formula when you really look at it just in its little building block pieces. So we've got the trigger. Sorry for anybody that I've triggered. Like I said, I'm just the messenger. You've got the story that's holding you stuck. I can't. There's never enough. I don't know how. It's not possible. But what happens if, when there is, now isn't the time? There's never enough. The story. Then you've got the fears. Then you've got the distinction between what is actually true in my story and what is an assumption. And if you've ever broken down the word assume, like if you just write it down on a piece of paper, you'll see what it means. A-S-S-U-M-E. Makes an ass out of you and me. So the assumptions are generally going to be the majority of the story that you live in. When you really look at the facts, there's usually only a few. Then you've got a couple of archetypes that are going to show up that really want to control and make sure that you believe this story for life, because that is their job. They're attached to ego, and their job is to keep you playing as small as possible. And the cool thing is there's an alter ego. there is a way to access the amazingness of who you are. I'm going to reiterate once more, your power, your gifts, and your mission. When you weave them together, you create your vehicle of transformation that you're meant to take out into the world to share. And that vehicle of transformation can be anything from being the best mother you can possibly be, standing in your greatness, using your voice and being responsible for everything. Or your vehicle of transformation could be a podcast series. It could be starting a women's running club. It could be starting a Facebook group. It could be volunteering for your church. It could be donating your hair to cancer. Your vehicle of transformation isn't important. What matters is that you're combining the greatness of who you are and sharing that with the world in any way that resonates. So I'm just going to finish by sharing with you, if this is landing with you, like if you're really going, holy shit, that's me. I'm hiding. I know it. I've got this. I know I can do this. Then honestly, I would love for you to come and play in the Divine Warriors with me. There are 5 of you that are circling around in this orbit that I'm paying very close attention to, that are supposed to be in this program. You know who you are. You know who you are. You're hearing it, you're resisting it, and I get it, because that was me, resisting the thing that I was meant to do because I was too afraid to step into my power and own the fact that maybe I might be able to share from a place of humility and graciousness and generosity. And the Divine Warriors program is designed to have you step into and own every ounce of your power and greatness, and to turn that into an amazing vehicle of transformation, divine side hustle, whatever you want to call it, and take it out into the world. So it's broken down into 3 modules. We deal with the past, we break it apart so we can understand it and build a new foundation. Then we look at the present and we break it down and we go, okay, how do we want to build this house that we're going to live in for the rest of our life, or this story? And then we create the future. What is it that I want to take out into the world, and how am I going to do it? And you're going to take your fears with you, because hell, you know, they can just ride shotgun. They just don't have to drive the bus. Let them come along if they want to come along. Just you be in control of them rather than them being in control of you. So in other words, we're going to leave the old you behind and embrace the wholeness and perfection of who you're meant to be. And you know who you are. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to ask you to just enjoy the beauty of the day. And when you're ready, reach out to me and we will hop on a call, and I will share the details of Divine Warriors, because some of you are ready. You're just hiding in your BS story. Much love. Take care, guys.